Have you ever wondered why the coldest place on Earth continues to attract some of the world's greatest scientific expeditions, while at the same time becoming the center of countless conspiracy theories? Beneath nearly 3 miles of ancient ice lies a continent that has preserved secrets for millions of years. Hidden mountain ranges, rivers trapped beneath frozen deserts, mysterious sounds echoing through the ice, creatures surviving where life should be impossible, and discoveries so extraordinary that they often sound like science fiction. Every year, Antarctica reveals another piece of its forgotten history. Yet with every genuine breakthrough comes another wave of myths about alien civilizations, secret military operations, and forbidden discoveries. The truth is far more fascinating than fiction, because unlike legends that disappear under careful investigation, the real mysteries of Antarctica continue to surprise even the scientists who dedicate their lives to exploring it. Tonight, we begin a journey across the most isolated continent on Earth, where every discovery challenges what we thought we knew about our planet. The first thing that surprises almost everyone about Antarctica is that we know far less about it than most people imagine. On maps, it appears as a giant white landmass at the bottom of the world, but beneath that endless blanket of ice is an entirely different landscape. Massive mountain ranges, deep valleys, ancient river systems, hidden lakes, and geological formations have remained sealed away for millions of years. Nearly 98% of the continent is covered by ice, yet the surface hides one of Earth's greatest unexplored frontiers. Unlike every other continent, Antarctica belongs to no single nation. Instead, dozens of countries cooperate under an international treaty that reserves the land almost entirely for scientific research. Thousands of researchers rotate through isolated stations every year, enduring months of darkness, temperatures cold enough to freeze exposed skin within minutes, and winds powerful enough to move heavy equipment. Their mission isn't to search for monsters or hidden civilizations. Their goal is to understand Earth's past, present, and future. Ironically, that very isolation has helped create some of the biggest mysteries surrounding Antarctica. Since so few people ever visit the continent, every satellite image, every unusual photograph, and every unexplained shape quickly spreads across the internet. A dark opening in the ice becomes a hidden doorway. A strangely shaped mountain transforms into an ancient pyramid. A shadow beneath the snow is suddenly described as evidence of an underground base. But when scientists investigate these claims, the explanations are often far more interesting than the rumors themselves. One famous example involved what appeared to be a gigantic doorway carved into the Antarctic ice. Images spread rapidly across social media, with countless theories claiming it was the entrance to a secret facility buried beneath the continent. Others believed it marked the remains of an ancient civilization frozen beneath the ice. Geologists examined the location carefully. The door was not a doorway at all. It was a natural rock formation partially exposed as surrounding ice slowly melted and shifted over time. Powerful Antarctic winds had sculpted the snow into remarkably straight edges, creating an illusion that looked almost perfectly artificial from above. Combined with shadows cast by the low polar sun, the formation became one of the internet's greatest Antarctic mysteries. Another viral discovery showed what looked like an enormous ship trapped deep within the frozen landscape. Online discussions exploded. Some insisted it was evidence of a forgotten expedition. Others claimed it belonged to a civilization that existed before recorded history. Months later, new satellite imagery revealed something unexpected. The object had disappeared. Not because someone removed it, but because it had never been a ship in the first place. It was simply an unusually shaped iceberg that gradually melted and broke apart as seasonal conditions changed. Nature had created a convincing illusion that lasted only until the ice itself changed shape. These stories reveal something important about Antarctica. The continent constantly creates optical illusions. Its shifting ice, unusual lighting conditions, extreme weather, and vast, untouched landscapes can easily deceive even experienced observers. What appears impossible one season may completely vanish the next. Yet dismissing every mystery would be just as mistaken. Because while many internet legends fall apart under investigation, Antarctica continues producing discoveries that are genuinely astonishing. Scientists have found enormous mountain ranges completely buried beneath the ice sheet. Some peaks rise thousands of feet into the frozen darkness, yet no human eye has ever seen them directly. Hidden lakes remain sealed beneath miles of ice, isolated for hundreds of thousands of years. Ancient rivers once crossed landscapes now locked beneath glaciers. Even entire ecosystems survive in places where sunlight has never reached. These are not myths. They are real discoveries, confirmed through decades of research using radar, satellite imaging, autonomous underwater vehicles, and deep ice drilling. Every expedition reveals another clue. Every new map exposes another forgotten landscape. And every layer of ice acts like a history book, preserving tiny bubbles of ancient air that allow scientists to study climates stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. What makes Antarctica truly remarkable is not the fantasy that aliens built secret cities beneath it. It is the reality that Earth itself has hidden an extraordinary world beneath its frozen surface for millions of years. The deeper researchers look, the stranger the continent becomes. Some discoveries have rewritten the history of Earth's climate. Others have changed our understanding of life itself. And a few have raised questions that science is still struggling to answer. Because beneath Antarctica's endless silence lies a forgotten world that is only beginning to reveal its secrets. And the next discovery would prove that what survives beneath the ice may be even more incredible than anyone ever imagined. The ice above Antarctica may appear lifeless, but beneath its frozen surface lies a world that has remained untouched for hundreds of thousands, and in some places perhaps millions of years. Imagine an entire ecosystem existing in complete darkness, sealed beneath layers of ice thicker than skyscrapers are tall. No sunlight, almost no contact with the outside world. Temperatures far below freezing. Every rule that normally defines life seems to collapse here. Yet somehow, life continues. For decades, scientists believed that many lakes trapped beneath Antarctica's ice were nothing more than frozen relics. They assumed these hidden reservoirs had become biological graveyards long ago. But as technology improved, researchers began looking deeper, using ground-penetrating radar capable of seeing through enormous thicknesses of ice. One location quickly captured worldwide attention: Lake Enigma. Even its name sounded like something from a science fiction novel. Located within one of Antarctica's harshest regions, Lake Enigma appeared from the surface to be nothing more than an enormous block of permanent ice. Temperatures regularly plunge far below zero, and almost no snowfall reaches this isolated landscape. Scientists expected little more than frozen water trapped beneath ancient glaciers. Instead, they found something extraordinary. Beneath nearly 40 feet of solid ice rested a body of liquid water. Even more astonishing, that water was alive. When researchers carefully drilled through the frozen surface and lowered scientific instruments into the hidden lake, they discovered thriving microbial communities unlike anything expected in such an extreme environment. The lake floor was covered by strange biological mats that stretched across the sediments like living carpets. Some appeared smooth and flat, while others formed tiny spikes, branching structures, and delicate shapes resembling miniature underwater forests. The discovery immediately raised a disturbing question. How could anything survive here? This lake receives almost no direct sunlight. Temperatures remain brutally cold year after year. Nutrients are extremely limited. Every condition seems designed to prevent life from existing. Yet these microorganisms had not only survived, they had adapted. Some species produced energy using tiny amounts of available light filtering through the ice. Others relied on complex chemical reactions occurring naturally within the lake. Certain bacteria recycled minerals from surrounding rocks, while microscopic organisms formed intricate relationships, depending upon one another for survival in an environment where wasting energy could mean extinction. To biologists, this was more than an unusual ecosystem. It was proof that life could flourish in places once considered impossible. Among the most surprising discoveries were microorganisms that behaved differently from their closest known relatives elsewhere on Earth. Some belonged to bacterial groups, commonly found in soils, oceans, or even within the human body. Yet here, isolated beneath Antarctic ice for unimaginable lengths of time, they appeared to have developed unique adaptations that scientists are still trying to understand. Others were even stranger. Researchers identified tiny bacteria that survive almost entirely by attaching themselves to neighboring microbes. Rather than producing everything they need independently, these microscopic organisms rely upon partnerships, quietly extracting nutrients from surrounding life forms, even at the smallest scale imaginable. Nature had created predators, survivors, and entire food webs hidden beneath Antarctica's frozen surface. Every new sample challenged existing scientific assumptions. Some microbes were thriving in oxygen-rich water, despite belonging to groups usually associated with environments nearly devoid of oxygen. Others displayed unusual metabolic strategies, unlike anything previously documented in Antarctic lakes. Each discovery hinted that evolution, given enough time and isolation, can produce astonishing biological solutions. But perhaps the most exciting implication had nothing to do with Antarctica itself. Instead, it pointed towards space. For years, planetary scientists have suspected that several icy moons within our solar system conceal vast oceans beneath frozen shells. Jupiter's moon Europa is believed to hide a global ocean beneath miles of ice. Saturn's moon Enceladus continuously ejects plumes of water vapor from cracks in its frozen crust, suggesting liquid reservoirs below. If life can survive beneath Antarctica's ice, could it also exist beneath theirs? Lake Enigma suddenly became one of Earth's closest natural laboratories for studying environments that may resemble alien worlds. Every instrument lowered into the lake became, in a way, practice for future missions exploring distant moons. Researchers are no longer asking whether these environments are habitable. They're asking what kind of life might already be waiting there. Yet Antarctica held another surprise. Far from Lake Enigma lies one of the strangest landscapes anywhere on Earth: the McMurdo Dry Valleys. Standing there feels almost impossible. Despite being surrounded by one of the largest ice sheets on the planet, these valleys contain vast stretches of exposed ground with almost no snow or glaciers covering them. Powerful winds descending from Antarctica's interior evaporate moisture faster than it can accumulate, creating one of the driest deserts on Earth. The landscape resembles Mars more than Antarctica. Jagged rocks, frozen gravel, salt-rich soils, endless silence. At first glance, nothing appears alive, but appearances can be deceiving. Hidden inside tiny cracks within the rocks themselves are microscopic communities known as endolithic organisms. Protected from deadly ultraviolet radiation and brutal temperature swings, these bacteria quietly survive inside stone, harvesting the smallest amounts of available light while remaining almost completely invisible from the outside. Elsewhere, beneath nearby glaciers, scientists discovered bacteria that obtain energy without sunlight at all. Instead of relying on photosynthesis, they survive by breaking down sulfur and iron locked within surrounding minerals. No plants, no animals, no sunlight, just chemistry. These organisms demonstrate that life does not always require the conditions humans consider comfortable. Sometimes it only requires opportunity. Ironically, Antarctica's most hostile environments have become some of the world's most valuable scientific laboratories. Every hidden lake, every frozen valley, every microbial colony teaches researchers something entirely new about biology. The deeper they explore beneath the ice, the clearer one truth becomes. The greatest mystery of Antarctica is not whether something strange exists beneath its frozen surface. It's how much extraordinary life has remained hidden there all along. And the next discovery would reveal that Antarctica has been preserving far more than living organisms. It has also been guarding Earth's forgotten past. Millions of years before humans ever looked toward the South Pole, Antarctica was almost unrecognizable. Forget endless white horizons and frozen oceans. Picture dense forests stretching across the landscape, rivers winding through lush valleys, towering trees swaying beneath months of sunlight, and prehistoric creatures moving through wetlands alive with insects and ancient plants. It sounds impossible today, yet the evidence buried beneath Antarctica's ice tells an astonishing story. The frozen continent was once one of Earth's greenest frontiers. For decades, this idea sounded absurd. Antarctica sits at the very bottom of the planet, locked in permanent cold. Most people naturally assumed it had always been frozen. But science has a habit of challenging assumptions. Everything changed when researchers drilled deep beneath the seafloor near Antarctica's coast. Hidden beneath hundreds of feet of sediment, they recovered something nobody expected to find. Ancient roots, fossilized pollen, perfectly preserved spores, fragments of leaves. These weren't random pieces carried there by ocean currents. They belonged to a thriving rainforest ecosystem that had existed nearly 90 million years ago during the age of dinosaurs. The discovery stunned climate scientists around the world. The fossils painted an entirely different picture of Antarctica. Instead of endless snowfields, enormous conifer forests covered much of the landscape. Ferns spread across swampy ground while rivers slowly carved through rich soil. Seasonal darkness still existed because Antarctica already occupied southern latitudes, but temperatures remained surprisingly mild. Rain fell regularly, feeding an ecosystem that should never have been possible according to everything people believed about the continent. How could a rainforest survive so close to the South Pole? The answer lies deep within Earth's changing climate. During the Cretaceous period, atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations were dramatically higher than today. That natural greenhouse effect trapped enough heat to keep much of the planet significantly warmer. Polar regions that are frozen today experienced climates similar to modern temperate forests. There were no massive continental ice sheets, no endless glaciers, and no frozen deserts stretching toward the horizon. Instead, Antarctica was alive. That single discovery forced scientists to rewrite climate models describing Earth's ancient history. It also revealed something far more important. Earth's climate is capable of changing on extraordinary scales over geological time. But Antarctica doesn't preserve only ancient forests. Its ice functions like the greatest archive ever created by nature. Every year, fresh snow settles onto the continent. Over centuries, that snow becomes compressed into dense layers of ice. Tiny bubbles of air become trapped inside, sealing away perfect samples of Earth's ancient atmosphere. Layer after layer builds upon the previous one until the ice reaches astonishing thicknesses. Some Antarctic ice contains air breathed by creatures that lived hundreds of thousands of years before modern civilization. Imagine holding a piece of ice that trapped Earth's atmosphere long before the first cities existed. Scientists carefully extract long cylinders called ice cores from deep beneath the surface. Some stretch for miles through the frozen layers below. Each section represents another chapter in Earth's environmental history. The deeper they drill, the further back they travel in time. Inside laboratories, these priceless samples are handled with extraordinary care. Even the smallest contamination can destroy information preserved for hundreds of thousands of years. Researchers wear protective suits, multiple layers of gloves, and work inside clean rooms where every particle of dust is carefully controlled. Once prepared, each sample begins revealing its secrets. Tiny air bubbles expose past concentrations of carbon dioxide and methane. Microscopic volcanic ash identifies eruptions that occurred thousands of miles away. Sea salts reveal changing ocean conditions. Dust carried by ancient winds tells scientists about distant deserts that existed long before recorded history. Together, these frozen clues reconstruct climates from ages humans never witnessed. Some ice recovered from Antarctica is estimated to be nearly 800,000 years old. That means scientists can directly compare today's atmosphere with air that existed before countless ice ages came and went. Few places on Earth preserve such an uninterrupted environmental record. Yet while some discoveries explain the past, others create entirely new mysteries. Researchers drilling deep into Antarctica occasionally encounter layers unlike anything expected. Ash from forgotten volcanic eruptions. Chemical signatures that don't perfectly match existing climate models. Unexpected shifts in atmospheric composition. Every anomaly becomes another puzzle waiting to be solved. One question has become especially important. Has Antarctica melted dramatically before? Evidence suggests that portions of the West Antarctic ice sheet may have partially collapsed during warmer periods in Earth's distant past. If true, sea levels around the globe would have risen dramatically, reshaping coastlines and flooding areas now occupied by major cities. Scientists continue investigating exactly when these events occurred and how quickly they unfolded. The answers matter because Antarctica holds enough frozen water to influence coastlines across the entire planet. Understanding its history helps researchers better understand possible futures. But Antarctica keeps another remarkable record beyond climate itself. It preserves history. As glaciers slowly move toward the ocean, they occasionally release objects trapped inside for decades, centuries, or even thousands of years. Around the world, melting ice has revealed remarkably preserved artifacts, ancient tools, forgotten campsites, and even naturally mummified humans. Although many famous discoveries occurred outside Antarctica, they demonstrate the extraordinary power of ice as nature's perfect preservation chamber. Frozen environments protect details that would normally disappear forever. Clothing remains intact. Wood survives. Organic materials avoid decay. Even fingerprints can sometimes remain preserved. This remarkable ability to preserve the past encourages scientists exploring Antarctica to wonder what else may still lie hidden beneath miles of untouched ice. Could ancient landscapes remain perfectly preserved below? Could ecosystems frozen millions of years ago still contain clues about evolution? Could future drilling uncover entirely unknown chapters of Earth's history? Every expedition brings researchers closer to answering those questions. Yet each answer seems to reveal even larger mysteries. Because Antarctica is not simply a frozen continent. It is a time capsule. Every glacier, every buried valley, every layer of ancient ice quietly records events that shaped our planet long before humans existed. And somewhere beneath those endless frozen plains, history continues waiting for the next expedition willing to uncover it. But while scientists searched for answers beneath the ice, another mystery was unfolding above it. An expedition exploring one of Antarctica's most dangerous glaciers would soon lose something invaluable. And to this day, no one knows exactly where it went. The closer scientists looked at Antarctica's coastline, the more they realized that the greatest dangers were not always on the surface. Some of the continent's largest glaciers appear solid from above, yet beneath them lies a hidden world of underwater cliffs, deep cavities, powerful currents, and landscapes no human has ever walked across. These invisible environments control how quickly Antarctica's ice melts, influencing coastlines thousands of miles away. To understand what was happening beneath one of the world's most unstable glaciers, researchers launched an ambitious mission. What they discovered changed glaciology forever. But what happened next remains one of modern polar science's most unsettling mysteries. Their destination was Thwaites Glacier. Often called the Doomsday Glacier, Thwaites stretches across western Antarctica on a scale that is difficult to imagine. Covering an area roughly the size of an entire country, it acts like a giant frozen barrier holding back enormous amounts of inland ice. If this glacier were to collapse completely over time, it could contribute significantly to global sea level rise. That possibility alone has made Thwaites one of the most intensively studied places on Earth. The problem was simple. Scientists could observe the glacier from satellites. They could measure its movement from aircraft. They could monitor changes from the surface. But nobody truly knew what was happening underneath. The base of the glacier, where ice meets the ocean, remained almost completely hidden. To solve that mystery, researchers built an extraordinary underwater robot. Unlike ordinary submarines, this autonomous vehicle was designed specifically for environments where no human could safely travel. Packed with sonar systems, high-resolution cameras, lasers, navigation instruments, and scientific sensors, the robot could navigate beneath floating ice shelves without a pilot. Once released into the freezing ocean, it would travel alone, collecting information before returning to its launch point. Its name was Ran. Named after a figure from Norse mythology associated with the sea, the robotic explorer carried humanity's curiosity into one of Earth's least accessible environments. When Ran disappeared beneath the floating edge of Thwaites Glacier, nobody knew exactly what it would find. Hours passed, then days. As the vehicle silently navigated beneath hundreds of meters of ice, it transmitted astonishing information back to researchers. The underside of the glacier was nothing like scientists had imagined. Instead of being smooth and flat, enormous terraces stretched across the ice ceiling like gigantic underwater staircases. Towering ridges alternated with deep grooves carved by warm ocean currents. Massive cavities extended into darkness, revealing that seawater had been reaching much farther beneath the glacier than previously believed. Some sections showed evidence of rapid melting. Others appeared surprisingly stable. The data revealed that warm ocean water was quietly entering hidden passages beneath the glacier, attacking the ice from below where satellites could never see it. It was like discovering that the foundation of a massive building had been slowly eroding while the structure above still looked intact. Every new measurement forced scientists to rethink how glaciers behave. The hidden landscape beneath Thwaites proved far more dynamic than existing computer models had predicted. Powerful currents flowed through underwater channels, carrying heat deep into places once assumed to remain permanently frozen. Small changes beneath the surface could eventually influence enormous sections of ice above. For climate researchers, this information was invaluable. Then, everything changed. After completing another mission beneath the glacier, Ran was expected to return to the rendezvous point. It never arrived. At first, researchers assumed a navigation delay. Perhaps unusual currents had slowed the vehicle. Maybe communication had briefly failed. They waited. Nothing. Search teams immediately began looking for the missing robot. Aircraft surveyed the surrounding region. Support vessels searched nearby waters. Every possible recovery procedure was attempted. There was no signal, no floating debris, no emergency transmission, no final message. The autonomous submarine had simply vanished beneath Antarctica's ice. Its batteries would eventually expire, ensuring that if it remained trapped somewhere below, communication would be lost forever. To this day, nobody knows exactly what happened. Some researchers believe shifting ice closed the narrow passage through which Ran had entered. Others suggest unexpectedly strong underwater currents carried it into an unexplored cavity from which it could not escape. A collision with submerged ice formations remains another possibility. There is even the chance that changing glacier conditions altered familiar routes faster than anyone anticipated. Every explanation remains only a hypothesis. The true answer disappeared with the vehicle itself. Ironically, Rand's final missions became one of the greatest scientific successes in Antarctic exploration. Before vanishing, it had mapped enormous portions of the glacier's hidden underside with unprecedented detail. Those observations continue helping scientists improve predictions of future ice loss and understand how warm oceans interact with Antarctica's frozen coastline. Its disappearance also served as a powerful reminder. Even with 21st century technology, Antarctica remains capable of defeating humanity's most advanced machines. Many people hear stories like this and immediately imagine something supernatural lurking beneath the ice. Secret bases, unknown creatures, ancient civilizations. But reality often proves even more humbling. Nature itself is mysterious enough. The immense pressures beneath floating glaciers, unpredictable currents, shifting ice walls, collapsing cavities, and complete darkness create one of the harshest exploration environments anywhere on Earth. There are no rescue stations beneath the ice, no GPS signals, no sunlight, only silence. Every expedition into these hidden waters carries genuine risk. Yet researchers continue returning, because every successful mission answers questions that affect the entire planet. The more scientists learn about glaciers like Thwaites, the better they understand rising seas, changing oceans, and Earth's climate system. But Antarctica still refuses to reveal all of its secrets. While researchers searched beneath glaciers, another team made a discovery far above the ice that sounded almost impossible. They drilled deep into Antarctica, expecting only frozen history. Instead, they heard something no one anticipated: strange sounds rising from the depths beneath their feet. Scientists spend years preparing for Antarctic expeditions, calculating every detail with extraordinary precision. Every drill, every sensor, every sample tube is carefully designed to withstand conditions that would destroy ordinary equipment within minutes. So when an experiment produces something completely unexpected, even experienced researchers pause. Not because they immediately assume something supernatural has happened, but because Antarctica has a remarkable way of reminding humanity that nature still holds countless surprises. One seemingly routine experiment began with nothing more than a deep hole drilled into the ancient Antarctic ice. Researchers were extracting ice cores to study Earth's climate history. Layer after layer of frozen snow had accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years, preserving tiny bubbles of ancient atmosphere inside the glacier. These frozen records allow scientists to reconstruct temperatures, volcanic eruptions, greenhouse gas concentrations, and even massive dust storms from ages long before human civilization. After completing one section of drilling, the team decided to perform a simple demonstration. They dropped a block of ice into the narrow borehole. Nobody expected anything unusual. The block disappeared into the darkness, accelerating hundreds of feet beneath the frozen surface. Then, the sound arrived. It wasn't a simple echo. It wasn't the dull thud anyone expected. Instead, the researchers heard an eerie sequence of rising and falling tones that resembled something between science fiction and reality. The sound shifted continuously, almost like lasers firing inside a giant metallic tunnel before fading into a slow, rhythmic pulse. The team exchanged confused looks. Had the drill struck some hidden chamber? Was there an unexpected cavity beneath the ice? Could the strange noises reveal something buried far below? Curiosity quickly took over. They repeated the experiment. Another block of ice. Another descent. Again, strange sounds echoed upward through the narrow shaft. Each drop produced slightly different tones, but the haunting pattern remained unmistakable. For a brief moment, nobody could fully explain what they were hearing. Speculation spread quickly. Some imagined underground caves. Others wondered whether unusual geological formations beneath Antarctica were producing unexpected acoustic effects. A few internet discussions later exaggerated the story into claims of mysterious underground structures and hidden civilizations. But the real explanation turned out to be just as fascinating. The phenomenon was caused by one of physics' most elegant principles, the Doppler effect. Most people experience it without realizing. Imagine standing beside a road as an ambulance races toward you with its siren screaming. As the vehicle approaches, the sound appears higher in pitch. The instant it passes, the tone suddenly becomes lower. The siren itself never changes. Only your perception changes because the source of the sound is moving relative to you. Exactly the same thing happened inside Antarctica's borehole. As the ice block accelerated downward through the narrow tunnel, the sounds produced by impacts and air vibrations continuously shifted in frequency before echoing back toward the scientists waiting above. The smooth walls of the borehole acted like a giant natural amplifier. Every reflection bounced repeatedly along the icy cylinder. Instead of hearing one simple impact, researchers heard an evolving cascade of echoes traveling through hundreds of feet of frozen ice. What sounded mysterious at first became a beautiful demonstration of physics. Yet the experiment revealed something important beyond the explanation itself. Antarctica behaves like an enormous natural laboratory. Its vast ice sheets conduct sound differently from almost anywhere else on Earth. Tiny changes in ice density, hidden air pockets, crystal structures, temperature variations, all influence how vibrations travel beneath the frozen surface. Scientists now use these acoustic properties to study glaciers without directly seeing inside them. By listening carefully, researchers can detect fractures forming deep within the ice, monitor glaciers shifting toward the sea, and even estimate internal structures hidden beneath miles of frozen layers. Sometimes, Antarctica literally speaks through its ice. Glaciers constantly produce groans, cracks, pops, and low-frequency vibrations as enormous masses slowly move under their own weight. Most of these sounds occur far below the range of human hearing. Sensitive instruments convert them into signals researchers can analyze like doctors reading a heartbeat. Every crack tells part of the glacier's story. Every vibration reveals changes taking place deep below the surface. In many ways, Antarctica is never truly silent. The challenge is learning how to listen. While studying ancient ice, researchers uncovered another astonishing truth. Each ice core they recovered contained more than frozen water. Locked inside were microscopic bubbles of ancient air. Some had remained sealed for nearly 800,000 years. Think about that for a moment. Before the pyramids, before agriculture, before modern humans spread across much of the planet, tiny pockets of Earth's atmosphere became trapped inside falling snow and remained untouched until scientists carefully released them in modern laboratories. Opening one of those bubbles is like opening a message sent across geological time. The air reveals carbon dioxide levels, methane concentrations, atmospheric chemistry, even evidence of volcanic eruptions that darkened skies thousands of miles away. Every sample extends humanity's climate record further into the past. To protect these priceless archives, laboratories handling Antarctic ice operate under incredibly strict conditions. Researchers wear protective suits from head to toe. Multiple pairs of gloves prevent contamination. Air filtration systems constantly remove microscopic particles. Even something as ordinary as breathing too close to a sample could introduce modern contaminants capable of altering delicate measurements. A single fingerprint could compromise months of work. The ice demands absolute precision. Yet despite decades of progress, Antarctica continues surprising scientists. Some ice layers preserve unusually high concentrations of volcanic ash. Others contain dust transported across continents by ancient winds. Occasionally, researchers encounter unexpected chemical signatures that don't perfectly fit existing climate models. Each anomaly becomes another mystery waiting to be solved. That is perhaps Antarctica's greatest lesson. The continent rarely gives simple answers. Instead, every discovery opens new questions. Every explanation uncovers another layer of complexity. And every scientific breakthrough reminds us how much remains hidden beneath the world's largest sheet of ice. But while researchers were learning to read the frozen history locked inside Antarctica's glaciers, another astonishing discovery was taking shape far beneath the continent itself. Radar instruments began revealing something no one imagined possible. An entire world of mountains, completely buried beneath the ice. Far beneath Antarctica's endless white horizon lies a landscape that no human civilization has ever witnessed with its own eyes. There are no footprints, no ancient ruins waiting to be uncovered, no forgotten roads disappearing beneath the snow. Instead, there is an entire hidden continent buried beneath nearly 2 miles of ice. For centuries, people assumed Antarctica was little more than a giant frozen plateau. But modern technology has revealed something far more astonishing. Under that seemingly featureless blanket of ice is a world filled with towering mountain ranges, enormous valleys, ancient river channels, and geological structures that have remained hidden for millions of years. Every new radar survey peels back another layer of this invisible world, proving that Antarctica still holds secrets on a continental scale. The greatest challenge has always been obvious. Scientists cannot simply remove miles of ice to see what's underneath. Instead, they had to invent ways of seeing through it. One of the most revolutionary tools ever developed for polar exploration is ice-penetrating radar. Mounted beneath aircraft flying thousands of feet above Antarctica, these instruments transmit radio waves deep into the ice sheet. When the signals strike buried rock, underground water, or changes in ice density, they bounce back toward the aircraft. Powerful computers then convert those returning signals into detailed maps of the hidden landscape below. It's almost like giving scientists X-ray vision. What those first maps revealed shocked researchers. Instead of a flat continent buried beneath ice, Antarctica possesses some of the most dramatic terrain on Earth. Gigantic mountain chains rise thousands of feet into the darkness beneath the glacier. Some peaks rival famous mountains found on other continents, yet no sunlight has touched them for millions of years. Entire valleys stretch across the hidden bedrock, while enormous basins descend far below sea level. One of the most remarkable discoveries was the Gomburtsev subglacial mountains. This massive mountain range lies completely buried beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet. Imagine a chain of rugged peaks comparable in size to the European Alps, yet completely invisible from the surface. Scientists didn't even know these mountains existed until radar surveys detected them beneath nearly 2 miles of ice. The discovery created a fascinating mystery. Mountain ranges usually become worn down by wind, rain, rivers, and glaciers over millions of years. Yet the Gomburtsev Mountains remain surprisingly rugged. Sharp ridges, deep valleys, steep slopes, almost as though nature had frozen time itself. Researchers now believe that Antarctica's expanding ice sheet acted like an enormous protective blanket, preserving the mountains from erosion for tens of millions of years. Ironically, the very ice that hides them may also be responsible for keeping them so well preserved. As radar mapping expanded across the continent, more surprises followed. Scientists discovered enormous subglacial canyons stretching for hundreds of miles beneath the ice. Some rival the size of Earth's greatest river valleys. Ancient drainage systems, carved long before Antarctica became frozen, still remain visible beneath the ice sheet like scars left behind by forgotten rivers. These landscapes tell a remarkable story. They remind us that Antarctica was not always a frozen wilderness. Long before glaciers dominated the continent, flowing water shaped its valleys. Rivers carried sediment toward ancient coastlines. Rain fell across forests. Lakes filled low-lying basins. The continent experienced seasons completely unlike the frozen environment we know today. Every buried valley preserves another chapter from that distant world. Then came another astonishing discovery. researchers began identifying hundreds of lakes hidden beneath the ice. Not frozen lakes, liquid lakes. Some are connected through networks of underground waterways that slowly transport water beneath the continent. Others remain isolated beneath immense pressure, sealed away for unimaginable lengths of time. One of the largest, Lake Vostok, lies beneath nearly 2.5 miles of ice. It is larger than many lakes visible on Earth's surface. For thousands of years, scientists debated whether anything could possibly survive there. Eventually, carefully controlled drilling programs recovered evidence suggesting microbial life may exist within these isolated environments. The findings remain an active area of research, but they reinforce a remarkable idea. Life adapts, even where humans least expect it. The discovery of hidden lakes transformed our understanding of Antarctica. The ice sheet is not a lifeless block of frozen water. It is constantly interacting with liquid water beneath it. Pressure from the immense weight of the ice causes melting at its base in certain locations. That water flows through channels, pools inside basins, and occasionally drains into neighboring lakes. Entire hydrological systems operate beneath the ice, completely hidden from view. Some lakes even fill and empty over time without anyone standing on the surface, noticing the changes occurring below. It is an invisible plumbing system spanning an entire continent. These discoveries have enormous scientific importance. Water beneath glaciers acts like a lubricant, influencing how quickly ice moves toward the ocean. Understanding these hidden rivers allows scientists to better predict glacier behavior and future sea level change. But beneath all the scientific excitement lies another reason Antarctica captures the public imagination. Its hidden geography looks mysterious. Satellite images showing unusual shapes often spread rapidly across the internet. Perfectly symmetrical ridges become pyramids. Circular mountains become ancient fortresses. Long cracks in the ice transform into supposed entrances to underground civilizations. The reality is both simpler and more extraordinary. Nature creates geometry on scales that rival human engineering. Glaciers carve astonishingly straight valleys. Volcanic formations produce symmetrical peaks. Wind sculpts snow into sharp angles. Ice fractures create enormous linear features stretching for miles. Viewed from space without geological context, these natural formations easily fool the eye. Scientists examine these claims carefully because genuine discoveries sometimes begin with unusual observations. But time after time, detailed surveys reveal natural explanations supported by geology, physics, and decades of field research. That doesn't make Antarctica less mysterious. Quite the opposite. The true wonder is that an entire continent remained largely hidden until modern technology finally allowed humanity to see beneath its frozen surface. Even today, enormous regions remain only partially mapped. Every survey flight fills another blank space. Every radar scan uncovers another buried valley. Every expedition reminds researchers how much remains unknown. Because despite satellites orbiting overhead and sophisticated instruments crossing the skies, Antarctica continues guarding countless secrets beneath its ancient ice. And among those hidden features is another astonishing surprise. Not mountains, not lakes, but a chain of volcanoes buried beneath the frozen continent, some of which may still be capable of awakening. The deeper scientists explored Antarctica, the more they realized the frozen continent was anything but geologically dead. From the surface, it appears silent and motionless, locked beneath an endless shield of ancient ice. But thousands of feet below that frozen landscape, Earth is still alive. Heat rises from the planet's interior. Rocks continue to shift. Magma slowly moves through hidden chambers. And beneath miles of ice lies one of the least understood volcanic regions on Earth. For generations, almost nobody suspected Antarctica hid volcanoes at all. The assumption seemed reasonable. How could volcanoes exist beneath one of the coldest places on the planet? It sounds like a contradiction. Fire beneath ice. Yet modern surveys have completely transformed that picture. Using ice-penetrating radar, satellite measurements, airborne magnetic sensors, and seismic imaging, researchers began detecting strange cone-shaped formations buried beneath western Antarctica. At first, they appeared as isolated peaks hidden beneath the ice sheet. But as more data arrived, an astonishing pattern emerged. There wasn't just one volcano. There were dozens. Eventually, scientists identified more than 90 volcanic structures beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet, making it one of the largest volcanic provinces discovered anywhere on Earth. Some peaks rise thousands of feet above the surrounding bedrock, yet remain completely invisible because they are buried beneath enormous glaciers. Even more surprising, researchers believe they may not have found them all. Some geological models suggest additional volcanic centers remain hidden beneath areas that have not yet been mapped in sufficient detail. Antarctica could still be concealing many more volcanoes beneath its frozen surface. That discovery immediately sparked dramatic headlines across the internet. Antarctica is sitting on a ticking volcanic time bomb. Hidden volcanoes are melting the continent from below. Massive eruptions could destroy the Antarctic ice sheet. The reality, however, is more complicated. Most of these volcanoes show no evidence of imminent eruption. Many are believed to have remained inactive for extremely long periods. But inactive does not necessarily mean extinct. Earth's geological clock operates very differently from ours. A volcano quiet for thousands of years may simply be resting. One of Antarctica's best-known volcanoes reminds us of that fact: Mount Erebus. Unlike the hidden volcanoes buried beneath the ice, Mount Erebus rises proudly above the Ross Sea. At over 12,000 feet high, it is the southernmost active volcano on Earth. What makes Erebus remarkable isn't simply that it is active. It's how it behaves. Inside its summit crater exists one of the world's very few long-lived lava lakes. Rather than erupting violently every few years, molten rock continuously bubbles near the surface, glowing deep inside the crater even as temperatures outside plunge far below freezing. Imagine standing on a frozen continent surrounded by glaciers while only a short distance away, liquid rock hotter than 1,000 degrees Celsius churns beneath your feet. Antarctica is a land of extremes unlike anywhere else. Scientists carefully monitor Erebus because it provides valuable clues about volcanic systems hidden beneath the ice sheet. Gas emissions, seismic activity, and heat flow measurements help researchers understand how magma behaves under Antarctic conditions. Yet the buried volcanoes remain far more mysterious, because nobody can simply walk up to them. Miles of ice separate scientists from the volcanic rocks below. Instead, researchers rely on indirect evidence: tiny earthquakes, changes in Earth's magnetic field, heat detected beneath glaciers, subtle movements measured by satellites. Every new observation helps piece together a geological puzzle hidden beneath one of Earth's thickest ice sheets. One important question continues driving research: could geothermal heat from these volcanoes influence Antarctic ice? The answer appears to be yes, but probably not in the dramatic way often portrayed online. In certain regions, heat flowing naturally from Earth's interior can melt small amounts of ice at the glacier's base. This basal melting creates thin layers of water that reduce friction between the glacier and underlying rock. Think of placing a drop of water beneath a heavy block. The block slides more easily. The same principle applies beneath parts of Antarctica. Water generated by geothermal heat may help some glaciers move more efficiently toward the ocean. However, scientists emphasize that this process represents only one piece of a much larger system involving ocean temperatures, snowfall, ice dynamics, atmospheric conditions, and many other factors. Nature rarely depends on a single cause. The volcanic discoveries also revealed something unexpected about Antarctica itself. The continent is geologically diverse. Some regions consist of incredibly ancient rocks dating back billions of years. Others remain surprisingly active beneath the surface. Hidden faults slowly reshape the crust. Magma chambers cool over immense timescales. Earthquakes occasionally ripple through areas once believed completely stable. Far from being a frozen block of lifeless stone, Antarctica remains part of a living planet. Perhaps that's why the continent continues attracting myths. Every unusual heat signature becomes evidence of secret underground bases. Every seismic event becomes proof of hidden technology. Every volcanic structure becomes an alleged entrance to forgotten civilizations. The internet rarely lacks imagination, but the genuine science proves even more remarkable. Without any need for extraordinary claims, Antarctica already contains one of the world's most unusual geological environments. A continent where glaciers, several kilometers thick, rest upon mountain ranges, hidden lakes, deep valleys, flowing rivers, and volcanic systems that continue shaping the land from below. The contrast is breathtaking. Above, silence. Ice. Temperatures colder than almost anywhere else on Earth. Below, heat. Moving rock. Ancient geological forces still at work. That contrast reminds scientists of something important. Antarctica is not frozen because the planet beneath it stopped changing. It is frozen despite the planet continuing to evolve underneath. And while researchers searched for hidden volcanoes below the ice, another mystery began capturing worldwide attention from space. Satellite images revealed strange shapes that millions of people believed could not possibly be natural. Dark openings, perfect geometric forms, massive structures that seemed almost artificial. The internet immediately declared they had discovered proof that Antarctica was hiding something extraordinary. The next investigation would separate illusion from reality, revealing why the frozen continent may be the most misunderstood place on Earth. For years, Antarctica has inspired some of the internet's most extraordinary claims. Hidden pyramids, massive entrances carved into mountains, ancient cities buried beneath the ice, secret military installations. Every few months, a new satellite image appears online, spreading across social media with captions promising evidence that history has been hiding something enormous at the bottom of the world. Millions of people zoom into Google Earth, convinced they have discovered what generations of explorers somehow missed. But what actually happens when scientists investigate these mysterious images? Surprisingly, the truth often becomes even more fascinating than the rumors themselves. One of the most famous Antarctic mysteries began with what looked like an enormous dark opening in the side of a mountain on King George Island. From above, it resembled a gigantic cave entrance. The opening appeared almost perfectly shaped, large enough, according to online estimates, for a passenger aircraft to fit inside. Within days, theories exploded across the internet. Some claimed it was the entrance to an underground civilization. Others insisted it concealed a secret research facility. A few even suggested it was evidence of an ancient alien base hidden beneath Antarctica's glaciers. Then another strange detail fueled even more speculation. Older satellite images seemed to show the opening disappearing and reappearing over different years. To conspiracy theorists, this was proof that someone was deliberately hiding it. To geologists, however, the explanation pointed towards something entirely different. Antarctica is one of the most dynamic, icy environments on Earth. Snow accumulates unevenly. Powerful winds constantly reshape the landscape. Seasonal melting exposes rock during warmer months before fresh snow buries it again. Shadows change dramatically depending on the angle of the sun, especially in polar regions where sunlight travels unusually low across the horizon. The so-called doorway was most likely a natural rock formation that periodically became exposed as surrounding snow and ice shifted. No excavation, no hidden hangar, no secret civilization, just nature performing on an enormous stage. Yet that wasn't the only mystery satellite users believed they had uncovered. Another image appeared to reveal what looked astonishingly like a gigantic ship frozen into the Antarctic ice. From space, the object seemed to display a long hull, a raised deck, and even something resembling windows. Speculation immediately followed. Was it a forgotten expedition trapped beneath centuries of snow? A military vessel abandoned during a classified operation? Or perhaps something much older? Researchers examined newer satellite imagery taken from the same location. The mysterious ship had vanished. Not because anyone removed it, because it had never been a ship at all. It was an unusually shaped iceberg. As temperatures, winds, and ocean currents gradually reshaped the floating ice, the illusion disappeared completely. Nature had accidentally sculpted one of the most convincing optical illusions ever captured from orbit. Then came another viral discovery. A mountain whose slopes appeared almost perfectly symmetrical. Its triangular faces immediately reminded viewers of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Articles began circulating with dramatic headlines. Scientists discover pyramid in Antarctica. Ancient civilization hidden beneath the ice. The lost builders of Antarctica. The images certainly looked convincing, until geologists explained a surprisingly common natural process. Mountains shaped by repeated glacial erosion often develop pyramid-like peaks known as glacial horns. When several glaciers erode the same mountain from different directions over hundreds of thousands of years, they gradually carve steep faces that intersect near the summit. The result can look remarkably similar to a human-built pyramid. The Matterhorn in Switzerland displays the same phenomenon. No archaeologists, no lost empire, only millions of years of ice carving solid rock. But why are these illusions so convincing? Part of the answer lies in human psychology. Our brains evolved to recognize patterns, seeing faces in clouds, animals in rock formations, shapes within stars. This tendency, known as pareidolia, helped early humans identify threats quickly, even when information was incomplete. Today, that same instinct causes people to perceive artificial structures where none actually exist, especially when viewing satellite images with limited perspective. Antarctica amplifies this effect. Snow creates sharp contrasts. Low-angle sunlight produces unusually long shadows. Ice fractures form incredibly straight lines. Volcanic rocks create dark geometric patterns against bright snow. Together, they generate images that appear almost designed by intelligent hands. Ironically, Antarctica truly does contain landscapes that seem almost impossible. Towering blue ice walls, perfectly circular melt ponds, long ruler-straight crevasses stretching toward the horizon, gigantic ice arches sculpted by wind and sea, entire valleys that resemble another planet. Nature often creates geometry far beyond what most people expect. That doesn't mean every mystery deserves immediate dismissal. Scientists routinely investigate unusual observations. Sometimes surprising discoveries begin with simple curiosity. A strange radar signal, an unexpected satellite image, an unusual geological formation. The difference is that science follows evidence wherever it leads. Sometimes the answer confirms something extraordinary. Other times it reveals an elegant natural explanation. Either outcome expands our understanding. Perhaps the greatest lesson Antarctica teaches is that reality rarely needs embellishment. The continent already hides enormous mountain ranges beneath miles of ice. Entire ecosystems survive beneath frozen lakes. Volcanoes remain buried below glaciers. Ancient forests once covered land now locked beneath snow. Gigantic ice shelves crack apart with forces powerful enough to register on seismographs thousands of miles away. Every one of those discoveries is real. Every one has been documented through decades of research. And every one is extraordinary without requiring hidden civilizations or secret technology. Still, Antarctica continues feeding the imagination because so much of it remains unexplored. Huge areas beneath the ice have never been directly observed. Some regions have only been mapped using remote instruments. Future expeditions will almost certainly uncover landscapes nobody has ever seen before. Whether those discoveries involve unknown geological formations, hidden lakes, ancient fossils, or entirely new microbial ecosystems, one thing is certain. The greatest mysteries of Antarctica are still waiting beneath the ice. And sometimes the most remarkable discoveries are not the ones imagined on the internet, but the ones quietly revealed by science, one expedition at a time. Yet while satellite images captivated millions around the world, researchers working on the frozen continent itself stumbled upon evidence that Antarctica's climate has changed more dramatically than anyone once believed. Hidden beneath layers of ancient rock was proof that this frozen wilderness had once been covered by something almost impossible to imagine: a thriving rainforest. The deeper scientists explored Antarctica, the more they realized that the continent wasn't simply preserving the present. It was preserving Earth's forgotten past. Every expedition, every ice core, and every fossil recovered from beneath the frozen landscape seemed to whisper the same unbelievable message. Antarctica had not always been a kingdom of ice. Long before humans existed, long before mammoths roamed the north, and even before the first flowering plants spread across the continents, Antarctica was alive with forests, rivers, and wildlife that today seem impossible to imagine. For generations, this idea sounded almost ridiculous. How could a continent buried beneath nearly 2 miles of ice once support thriving ecosystems? The answer remained hidden until researchers drilled deep beneath the sea floor near Antarctica's coast. Their original mission was straightforward. They wanted to understand the continent's ancient climate by collecting sediment that had accumulated over millions of years. What they found instead changed everything. Buried beneath hundreds of feet of sediment were fossilized roots still embedded in ancient soil. Mixed among them were pollen grains, spores, fragments of leaves, and traces of plants that should never have existed anywhere near the South Pole. These were not random materials carried there by the wind. They had grown there. The evidence pointed toward a vast, temperate rainforest that flourished roughly 90 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Imagine standing in Antarctica back then. Instead of endless white ice stretching to the horizon, you would have seen towering conifer trees reaching toward the sky. Thick ferns covered the forest floor. Rivers slowly wound through swampy valleys, alive with insects and primitive reptiles. Dinosaurs may have wandered through these forests beneath months of continuous summer daylight before enduring long polar winters. It sounds like another fantasy. But the rocks tell a very different story. Scientists carefully analyzed the fossilized pollen and plant remains using advanced imaging techniques and chemical dating. Every sample supported the same conclusion. Antarctica had once experienced a remarkably warm climate. Even though the continent was already located near the South Pole, global temperatures during that period were dramatically higher than today. Carbon dioxide concentrations in Earth's atmosphere were several times greater than modern levels, trapping heat across the planet through a natural greenhouse effect. There were no massive Antarctic ice sheets, no glaciers stretching for thousands of miles, no frozen deserts. Instead, Antarctica formed part of a lush world unlike anything visible today. The discovery forced climate scientists to rethink many assumptions about Earth's ancient environment. More importantly, it demonstrated just how dramatically our planet can transform over geological time. But Antarctica wasn't finished rewriting history. As researchers continued drilling through ancient ice, another remarkable archive revealed itself. Unlike fossils, which record life itself, Antarctic ice preserves something even more delicate: air. Every winter, fresh snow falls across the continent. As new layers accumulate, older snow becomes compressed into dense ice. Tiny bubbles of atmosphere become trapped inside, perfectly sealing samples of ancient air before gradually sinking deeper beneath thousands of years of snowfall. Each bubble is a microscopic time capsule. Some contain air breathed by creatures living hundreds of thousands of years before the first cities appeared. Scientists extract these priceless records by drilling cylindrical ice cores that may extend for more than 2 miles beneath the surface. Each layer represents another chapter in Earth's environmental history. The deeper the core, the older the story. Working with these samples requires extraordinary care. Inside specialized laboratories, researchers wear full protective suits to prevent contamination. Clean air constantly circulates through the rooms. Multiple layers of gloves protect the fragile ice from fingerprints or modern chemicals. One careless mistake could contaminate air that remained untouched for nearly 1 million years. After carefully preparing the samples, scientists slowly crush sections of ice inside vacuum chambers. The ancient air escapes. Instruments immediately begin measuring its composition. Carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen, tiny traces of volcanic gases, even microscopic dust carried by winds across prehistoric continents. Together, these frozen bubbles allow researchers to reconstruct Earth's climate with astonishing precision. They reveal cycles of warming and cooling stretching back hundreds of thousands of years, ancient volcanic eruptions, massive droughts, changes in ocean circulation. Everything becomes part of a timeline preserved beneath Antarctica's ice. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this research is its ability to connect the distant past with the present. When scientists compare ancient greenhouse gas concentrations to modern measurements, they gain valuable insight into how Earth's climate system responds over long periods. These records don't predict the future on their own, but they provide one of the clearest windows into how our planet has changed before. That is why Antarctica matters so deeply. It is not simply frozen water. It is Earth's memory. Every glacier preserves another chapter. Every ice core unlocks another forgotten era. Every expedition adds another piece to an unfinished puzzle. Yet hidden among these scientific discoveries are mysteries that remain unresolved. Some ice layers contain unexpected chemical signatures researchers still struggle to explain. Others preserve volcanic ash from eruptions whose exact sources remain uncertain. Occasionally, unusual mineral deposits appear where existing models predicted none should exist. These anomalies remind scientists of something important. Even after decades of exploration, Antarctica continues surprising the people who know it best. Perhaps the continent's greatest strength is its patience. It has spent millions of years quietly preserving evidence beneath ice, thick enough to hide entire mountain ranges. Now, as technology slowly improves, humanity is finally learning how to read that frozen archive. Each expedition uncovers another forgotten page. Each discovery reshapes our understanding of Earth's history, and each answer reveals yet another question waiting beneath the ice. But Antarctica does not preserve only forests and ancient climates. Sometimes it preserves individual moments frozen in time. Across the polar regions and the world's great mountain glaciers, melting ice has begun revealing perfectly preserved animals, long-lost explorers, ancient tools, and remarkable artifacts that have remained untouched for thousands of years. The next discoveries would prove that ice is not only Earth's greatest freezer, it is also its greatest vault of forgotten history. The deeper researchers dig into frozen landscapes, the more history begins to emerge from beneath the ice. Antarctica itself has preserved countless scientific mysteries, but across Earth's frozen regions, melting glaciers are revealing something equally astonishing. Ancient humans, extinct animals, forgotten treasures, and long-lost expeditions are returning to the surface after remaining hidden for thousands, and sometimes tens of thousands, of years. These discoveries remind us that ice is far more than frozen water. It is nature's most powerful time capsule, capable of preserving the past with astonishing precision. One of the most famous discoveries began completely by accident. In September 1991, two hikers were crossing the Ötztal Alps along the border between Austria and Italy. As they carefully made their way across melting ice, they noticed what appeared to be a human body protruding from the glacier. At first, authorities assumed it was a recently deceased mountaineer who had become trapped during a climbing accident. Nobody imagined they had just discovered one of the greatest archaeological finds in modern history. The frozen body became known as Ötzi, the Iceman. Scientific analysis revealed something almost unbelievable. Ötzi had died more than 5,300 years ago. He had lived during the Copper Age, thousands of years before the Roman Empire, before Stonehenge was completed, and even before the Egyptian pyramids were built. Yet because his body had remained frozen inside the glacier, it was preserved with extraordinary detail. His skin remained intact. His clothing survived. His tools were still beside him. Researchers could even examine the contents of his stomach. Modern science slowly reconstructed the final chapter of his life. Ötzi was approximately 45 years old. He stood about 5 feet 3 inches tall. He carried a copper axe, a bow, arrows, a flint knife, and equipment for starting fires. His shoes were brilliantly engineered using leather, grass, and animal hide, providing insulation against harsh mountain conditions. Even his cloak had been carefully woven from grasses. His body also revealed remarkable medical details. Scientists determined that he was left-handed. He suffered from arthritis. He carried evidence of ancient parasites. DNA analysis suggested he was lactose intolerant. Even more surprisingly, tiny tattoos found across his body may have represented an early form of therapeutic treatment similar to acupuncture. Then, researchers uncovered something far more dramatic. A carefully examined CT scan revealed an arrowhead embedded deep inside his left shoulder. Ötzi had not simply died from exposure. He had been attacked. His final hours became the subject of intense scientific investigation. Evidence suggested he had been wounded before climbing into the mountains, where he eventually collapsed and died. Snow and ice gradually covered his body, preserving it for more than 5 millennia until climate conditions exposed him once again. The glacier had become his silent guardian. But Ötzi was not the only mystery hidden beneath the ice. Another extraordinary discovery unfolded in Switzerland. Back in 1942, Marceline and Francine Dumoulin left their mountain village to feed livestock in nearby alpine pastures. Like countless farmers before them, they expected to return home before nightfall. They never did. Search parties combed the mountains for weeks. Nothing. Years turned into decades. Their 7 children grew older without ever learning what had happened to their parents. The mystery remained unsolved for 75 years. Then, during the summer of 2017, workers near a retreating glacier made an unexpected discovery. 2 perfectly preserved human bodies emerged from the melting ice. They were still wearing clothing from the 1940s. Personal belongings remained nearby. DNA testing confirmed the impossible. The missing couple had finally been found. For their family, the discovery brought both heartbreak and closure. One daughter later said she never lost hope that her parents would someday return. After waiting most of her life, the glacier finally revealed the answer. Ice had preserved not only their bodies, but also a family's unfinished story. Glaciers have uncovered remarkable animal discoveries as well. In 2016, a gold miner searching in Canada's Yukon Territory noticed something unusual protruding from thawing permafrost. What he found was one of the best-preserved Ice Age wolves ever discovered. The tiny animal appeared almost as though it had died only weeks earlier. Its fur remained intact. Its paws were perfectly preserved. Even delicate facial features survived. Scientists named the young wolf Jour, meaning wolf in the local hen language. Radiocarbon dating placed Jour at approximately 57,000 years old. The discovery challenged long-standing assumptions about Ice Age ecosystems. By analyzing chemical signatures preserved within the pup's tissues, researchers determined that Jour had fed primarily on fish and aquatic animals, rather than the large grazing mammals scientists once believed dominated the region. One remarkably preserved animal reshaped understanding of an entire ecosystem. Then came another astonishing discovery. In 2010, tusk hunters working in Siberia uncovered an incredibly well-preserved woolly mammoth calf. Nicknamed Yucca, the young mammoth had remained frozen for roughly 39,000 years. Unlike many fossil discoveries consisting only of bones, Yucca retained skin, muscles, internal organs, and even portions of her brain. Scientists were able to study Ice Age biology with an unprecedented level of detail. Each discovery added another page to Earth's frozen archive. Sometimes glaciers preserve treasure instead of living creatures. High on France's Mont Blanc, a climber stumbled upon a small metal box emerging from the ice. Inside were emeralds, rubies, sapphires, and diamonds worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Investigators believe the jewels likely came from one of two Air India aircraft that crashed into the mountain decades earlier. The rightful owner was never identified. The glacier had silently guarded the treasure for more than half a century before finally releasing it. Every summer, retreating ice reveals more forgotten luggage, newspapers, aircraft debris, and personal belongings from those tragic flights. History slowly returns one object at a time. These discoveries share one remarkable lesson. Ice does not forget. Whether preserving an ancient traveler, a lost family, an extinct predator, or priceless artifacts, frozen environments possess an extraordinary ability to protect history from decay. For scientists, every object emerging from the ice represents an opportunity to understand worlds that no longer exist. For families, it can provide long-awaited answers. For humanity, it serves as a reminder that countless stories remain hidden beneath Earth's glaciers. Antarctica, with ice far older and vastly thicker than almost anywhere else on the planet, may still conceal discoveries beyond anything found so far. Some could rewrite scientific history. Others may answer questions we have not yet learned to ask. Because beneath Antarctica's frozen surface, the past is still waiting patiently. And in one of the coldest, driest places on Earth, researchers would soon discover creatures so strange that many scientists initially questioned whether they should have been alive at all. Even after decades of exploration, Antarctica continues proving that life is far more resilient than anyone once believed. Most people imagine the frozen continent as a biological wasteland. Endless ice, brutal winds, temperatures capable of freezing exposed skin within minutes. It seems impossible that anything could survive here for long, let alone build entire ecosystems. But the closer scientists examine Antarctica, the more they discover that life has adapted in astonishing ways. Some organisms survive by hiding inside rocks. Others remain active beneath permanent ice. And a few have developed survival strategies so unusual that researchers now use them to imagine what life might look like on distant worlds. One of the most fascinating places on Earth lies within Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys. The name itself sounds almost contradictory. A dry valley, in the middle of the largest ice-covered continent. Yet that's exactly what it is. Powerful katabatic winds race down from Antarctica's high interior, sometimes exceeding 200 miles per hour. These freezing winds are so dry that they remove moisture faster than snow can accumulate. Instead of white glaciers covering every surface, vast stretches of bare rock, gravel, and frozen soil dominate the landscape. Standing there feels almost surreal. Many scientists compare the dry valleys to Mars. The ground is cracked and barren. Liquid water is almost non-existent. Temperatures remain brutally low. Rain is virtually absent. For years, researchers assumed these valleys contained almost no life at all. Then they looked closer. Hidden inside tiny cracks within the rocks themselves lived microscopic communities called endoliths. These organisms don't simply live beneath rocks. They live inside them. At first glance, an ordinary stone appears completely lifeless. But slice it open under laboratory conditions, and you may discover colorful layers of bacteria and algae quietly surviving beneath its surface. Why hide inside solid rock? Because the stone acts like a natural shelter. It blocks deadly ultraviolet radiation. It protects against violent temperature swings. It traps tiny amounts of moisture. And most importantly, it allows just enough sunlight to pass through for photosynthesis. To these microorganisms, a rock is not an obstacle. It is a home. Scientists studying these organisms quickly realized they possess extraordinary resilience. Some can survive years without liquid water. Others tolerate freezing and thawing cycles that would destroy ordinary cells. Certain species enter dormant states, slowing their metabolism almost to zero until conditions improve. Rather than fighting Antarctica's harsh environment, they simply outlast it. Not far away lies another remarkable discovery beneath the Taylor Glacier. From a distance, the glacier appears perfectly ordinary. Brilliant white ice stretches across the valley, silent and motionless. Then something unexpected happens. A deep crimson liquid slowly flows from cracks in the glacier's face. The first explorers who witnessed it were stunned. Against the brilliant white ice, the dark red water resembled flowing blood. The location became known as Blood Falls. Naturally, myths spread almost immediately. Some imagined hidden minerals from volcanic eruptions. Others invented stories about ancient organisms or mysterious underground chambers. The real explanation turned out to be even more fascinating. Beneath the glacier lies an ancient pocket of extremely salty water that became trapped millions of years ago. Because the brine contains such high concentrations of salt, it never freezes despite Antarctica's intense cold. Even more remarkable, the water contains almost no oxygen, yet life exists there. Scientists discovered specialized microorganisms surviving entirely without sunlight, without oxygen, without plants, without animals. Instead of relying on photosynthesis like most ecosystems, these bacteria obtain energy through chemical reactions involving sulfur and iron dissolved within the ancient brine. When the iron-rich water reaches the surface and finally encounters oxygen in the atmosphere, it immediately rusts. That chemical reaction creates the dramatic red color flowing down the glacier. Blood Falls is not blood at all. It is chemistry, and hidden beneath it is one of Earth's most unusual microbial ecosystems. The discovery transformed astrobiology. If microorganisms can survive isolated beneath Antarctic glaciers using nothing but chemical energy, perhaps similar organisms could exist beneath the frozen surfaces of other planets and moons. Europa, Enceladus, even ancient Mars. Suddenly, Antarctica became more than a remote continent. It became a testing ground for searching beyond Earth. Researchers have since discovered other astonishing survivors across Antarctica. Tiny nematodes remain frozen for years before returning to life once temperatures briefly rise. Tardigrades, often nicknamed water bears, survive conditions that include freezing, dehydration, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. Certain lichens continue growing despite spending most of the year locked beneath snow and ice. Some Antarctic mosses have been found alive after centuries trapped beneath glaciers. These organisms challenge one of humanity's oldest assumptions, that life requires comfortable conditions. Apparently, it doesn't. Life requires opportunity. Give evolution enough time, and organisms find remarkable solutions to problems that seem impossible. But Antarctica also reminds scientists that there are limits. In one region of the McMurdo Dry Valleys, known as University Valley, researchers searched extensively for microbial life. They expected at least small communities hidden within the soil. Instead, they found almost nothing. The environment proved so cold, so dry, and so chemically hostile that even microorganisms struggled to survive. For a moment, scientists considered a remarkable possibility. They may have discovered one of the very few places on Earth where life is almost completely absent. That realization carried profound implications. If some regions of Antarctica are nearly sterile despite existing on a living planet, perhaps similar environments elsewhere in the solar system remain completely lifeless as well. Understanding where life cannot survive may be just as important as discovering where it can. Today, researchers continue returning to Antarctica armed with increasingly sophisticated technology. DNA sequencing reveals entirely new microbial species. Robotic instruments sample environments humans cannot safely enter. Satellites identify subtle environmental changes invisible from the ground. Every expedition uncovers another piece of a biological puzzle that has been evolving in isolation for millions of years. Perhaps the greatest surprise is not that life exists in Antarctica. It is that life refuses to surrender. Hidden beneath glaciers, locked inside rocks, flowing through ancient brines, drifting beneath permanent ice, nature continues finding ways to endure. And while scientists searched for Earth's toughest organisms, another mystery emerged high above the frozen continent. It wasn't hidden beneath the ice. It wasn't buried inside a glacier. It appeared in the sky itself. Where strange lights and unusual atmospheric phenomena have fueled speculation, scientific investigation, and some of Antarctica's most persistent modern mysteries. Across Antarctica, there are moments when even experienced scientists stop what they're doing and simply stare into the sky. Not because they believe they've witnessed something supernatural, but because the frozen continent creates atmospheric conditions unlike anywhere else on Earth. Strange lights ripple across the darkness. Brilliant halos surround the sun. Clouds appear to glow with impossible colors. Radio signals arrive from unexpected directions. And sometimes, scientific instruments detect events so unusual that researchers spend years trying to understand them. These phenomena have inspired countless stories about hidden technologies, secret experiments, and even extraterrestrial activity. Yet the real explanations often reveal a world that is no less astonishing. During the long Antarctic winter, darkness can last for months. With almost no artificial light pollution, the night sky becomes one of the clearest on Earth. Stars shine with breathtaking intensity, while the Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a glowing river. Under these conditions, even ordinary celestial events appear extraordinary. Then comes one of nature's greatest spectacles, the aurora australis. Often called the Southern Lights, this phenomenon transforms Antarctica's skies into waves of moving color. Curtains of green ripple across the horizon before suddenly exploding into brilliant purple, crimson, and pale blue. Sometimes the lights move gently like silk blowing in the wind. Other times they twist, spiral, and pulse across the sky as though the atmosphere itself has come alive. For someone witnessing them for the first time, the display feels almost unreal. Ancient cultures often believed such lights were messages from spirits or signs from the heavens. Even today, countless photographs of the aurora circulate online alongside claims that something mysterious is occurring above Antarctica. But the true explanation reaches far beyond our planet. The sun constantly releases streams of charged particles known as the solar wind. Traveling millions of miles through space, these particles eventually encounter Earth's magnetic field. Most are deflected harmlessly away. Near the magnetic poles, however, some become trapped and spiral downward into the upper atmosphere. There, they collide with oxygen and nitrogen atoms. Those collisions release energy in the form of visible light. Green usually comes from oxygen approximately 60 miles above Earth. Red appears when oxygen is excited at much higher altitudes. Purple and blue often result from interactions involving nitrogen. Together, they create one of the most beautiful natural phenomena on our planet. Ironically, Antarctica's isolation makes it one of the best places on Earth to observe these displays. Yet the aurora is not merely beautiful. It can also interfere with technology. Powerful solar storms sometimes disrupt radio communications, satellite navigation, and scientific equipment operating near the poles. During periods of intense solar activity, researchers carefully monitor space weather because energetic particles can influence experiments across Antarctica. Sometimes those disturbances create confusion, unusual radio interference, unexpected electrical signals, temporary equipment failures, events that appear mysterious until scientists connect them with activity occurring 93 million miles away on the Sun. But Antarctica has produced another atmospheric mystery that puzzled researchers for decades. High above the continent, rare clouds occasionally appear unlike anything seen elsewhere. These are nacreous clouds, also called polar stratospheric clouds. They form at incredible altitudes where temperatures become unimaginably cold. Unlike ordinary clouds made primarily of water droplets, these contain tiny ice crystals that scatter sunlight into brilliant rainbow colors. Long after sunset, when the landscape below lies in darkness, these clouds may continue glowing overhead. Their shifting colors often resemble giant floating pearls suspended across the sky. Photographs of these clouds have repeatedly been mistaken for unidentified flying objects. The smooth shapes, the glowing edges, the surreal colors. Viewed without context, they seem almost impossible. Yet they represent another example of Antarctica producing atmospheric conditions found in very few places on Earth. Researchers study these clouds for another reason. They play an important role in ozone chemistry. Certain reactions occurring on the surfaces of their ice crystals contribute to seasonal ozone depletion above Antarctica. Understanding how these clouds form helps scientists better understand changes within Earth's atmosphere. Not every Antarctic mystery is visible to human eyes. Some are detected only by sensitive instruments. One remarkable example involves radio waves arriving from unexpected directions. Several years ago, scientists operating highly specialized detectors above Antarctica observed unusual radio signals that appeared to emerge from beneath the ice rather than from space. At first, the observations seemed almost impossible. According to established physics, those signals should not have traveled through thousands of miles of Earth before reaching the detectors. The findings immediately attracted worldwide attention. Speculation spread rapidly. Some suggested hidden structures beneath Antarctica. Others proposed unknown particles or exotic forms of matter. A few internet theories quickly expanded into claims involving secret underground civilizations or extraterrestrial activity. Researchers approached the mystery far more cautiously. The signals were genuine. The observations were carefully recorded. But understanding their exact origin proved much more difficult. Several possible explanations remain under investigation. Some scientists suspect unusual interactions involving high-energy cosmic particles. Others believe rare atmospheric effects or previously unknown background processes may be responsible. More recent analyses have suggested that ordinary physics combined with complex observational effects could explain the events, although research continues. The important point is this: science does not ignore mysteries. It investigates them. Sometimes answers arrive quickly. Sometimes they require years of additional evidence. Antarctica provides countless opportunities for such investigations because its clean atmosphere, extreme isolation, and low levels of human interference make it one of the world's finest natural laboratories. Even sound behaves differently here. Strong temperature inversions occasionally bend radio waves over extraordinary distances. Cold, dense air changes how light travels near the horizon, producing remarkable optical illusions. Distant mountains appear to float. Ships seem suspended above the ocean. Entire landscapes become distorted through atmospheric refraction. To an observer unfamiliar with polar conditions, these mirages can look almost supernatural. History contains many accounts of explorers describing phantom islands, impossible cliffs, or glowing horizons that later vanished completely. Today, we understand that Antarctica's atmosphere can create visual effects unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. Still, standing alone on the ice while watching distant mountains appear to hover above the horizon would challenge almost anyone's perception of reality. Perhaps that explains why Antarctica continues inspiring extraordinary stories. Its environment constantly pushes human senses beyond ordinary experience. The sky glows. The horizon bends. Radio signals behave strangely. The sun disappears for months before returning without warning. Everything feels unfamiliar. Everything feels mysterious. Yet beneath every strange observation lies an opportunity to understand our planet a little better. And while researchers looked upward to study Antarctica's skies, another discovery deep beneath the frozen continent suggested that Earth's largest desert might also be hiding one of its greatest collections of liquid water, locked away beneath miles of ancient ice. The deeper scientists explore Antarctica, the more they realize that the continent is anything but solid. Beneath nearly 2 miles of ancient ice lies an enormous network of hidden lakes, underground rivers, and flowing water systems that no human eye had ever seen until modern technology made the impossible possible. Imagine standing on what appears to be an endless frozen desert while thousands of feet below your boots, entire lakes quietly fill, drain, and connect through waterways carved beneath the ice. It sounds like something from another planet. Yet this invisible water network is real, and it may hold the key to understanding Antarctica's future, Earth's changing climate, and perhaps even the possibility of life beyond our world. For centuries, explorers assumed Antarctica was little more than a giant block of frozen water resting on solid rock. The idea of liquid lakes existing beneath such crushing ice seemed impossible. Temperatures remain far below freezing. Pressure is immense. Sunlight never reaches these hidden depths. Where could liquid water possibly come from? The answer surprised everyone. The enormous weight of Antarctica's ice creates tremendous pressure at its base. Combined with heat naturally rising from Earth's interior, this pressure lowers the freezing point of water. In certain regions, the bottom of the ice slowly melts, producing liquid water trapped beneath the glacier. Instead of freezing solid, it flows. This process has created one of the largest hidden freshwater systems on Earth. Today, scientists have identified more than 400 subglacial lakes scattered beneath Antarctica. Some are relatively small. Others rival the size of lakes visible on Earth's surface. Many remain completely isolated beneath thousands of feet of ice. Others are connected by underground rivers stretching for hundreds of miles. These rivers don't rush like mountain streams. They move slowly, quietly, almost silently, beneath the crushing weight of the ice sheet. One of the greatest discoveries came from Lake Vostok. Hidden beneath nearly 2.5 miles of ice, Lake Vostok remained sealed off from the outside world for perhaps 15 million years. Think about that. When our earliest human ancestors were still learning to walk upright, this lake was already isolated beneath Antarctica. Everything inside evolved separately from the rest of Earth. Scientists immediately became fascinated. Could life survive in total darkness for millions of years? Would completely unknown organisms be waiting beneath the ice? Or would the lake prove completely sterile? Reaching it became one of the greatest engineering challenges in modern science. Drilling directly into the lake carried enormous risks. Even a tiny amount of modern contamination could permanently damage one of Earth's most pristine environments. Researchers spent years designing specialized drilling techniques intended to protect the lake while allowing scientific exploration. Every step required extraordinary caution. Eventually, carefully collected samples suggested that microbial life may indeed exist within this hidden world. While scientists continue debating certain findings and gathering additional evidence, the possibility alone transformed the study of extreme environments. If microorganisms survived beneath Lake Vostok for millions of years, perhaps similar ecosystems exist elsewhere in the solar system. Europa, Enceladus, Titan. Worlds covered by thick shells of ice suddenly became much more interesting. But Lake Vostok was only the beginning. As satellite observations improved, researchers noticed something unexpected. Some hidden Antarctic lakes were changing. Not slowly over thousands of years. Rapidly, entire lakes appeared to drain. Months later, others suddenly filled. At first, scientists feared something was wrong with their measurements. Then the pattern became clear. The lakes were connected. Water flowed between them through hidden channels beneath the ice sheet. Imagine enormous reservoirs exchanging water entirely out of sight. No rivers visible from above. No surface movement. Only satellites measuring tiny changes in the height of the ice overhead. When one lake emptied, the ice above settled slightly. When another filled, the surface gently rose. These subtle movements revealed a hidden plumbing system stretching beneath Antarctica. Some underground rivers transport billions of gallons of water over enormous distances. This discovery completely changed scientists' understanding of glacier behavior. Previously, glaciers were often imagined as giant frozen blocks slowly sliding toward the ocean. Reality proved much more complicated. Water beneath the ice acts like a lubricant. The more water available beneath certain glaciers, the more easily they can slide across the bedrock below. Understanding this hidden water network became essential for predicting future ice movement and global sea level changes. The discoveries also solved several long-standing mysteries. Researchers had observed certain glaciers suddenly speeding up before unexpectedly slowing again. The explanation often involved water flowing beneath them. Changes invisible from the surface were controlling the movement of ice thousands of feet above. Antarctica had been moving from below all along. Not every hidden lake remains completely isolated. Some occasionally connect with neighboring systems. Others become temporarily blocked before pressure forces new pathways through the ice. It's a constantly evolving underground world that humans have only recently begun discovering. Exploring these environments remains incredibly difficult. Traditional submarines cannot reach them. Human divers certainly cannot survive there. Instead, scientists rely on autonomous robotic probes, radar surveys, seismic instruments, and carefully controlled drilling operations. Every mission pushes technology to its limits. One mistake could destroy equipment worth millions of dollars. Yet researchers continue because every successful expedition reveals another extraordinary secret. Perhaps the most remarkable realization is this: Antarctica's hidden lakes are not isolated curiosities. Together, they form an active hydrological system operating beneath an entire continent. An invisible freshwater world larger than anyone imagined. Some scientists now compare it to exploring Earth's last great frontier. Not because they expect hidden civilizations, not because they anticipate impossible discoveries, but because so much remains unknown. Every newly mapped lake, every underground river, every unexpected connection reminds humanity that even in the age of satellites and artificial intelligence, our own planet still contains places we barely understand. And Antarctica isn't finished surprising us. Because beneath parts of the ice, researchers have discovered something even stranger than hidden lakes. Entire valleys where the ground itself has remained frozen in time for millions of years, preserving clues about a world that existed long before the first humans ever appeared. Those ancient landscapes may contain some of the greatest untold stories buried beneath Antarctica's endless ice. Long before satellites mapped Antarctica from space, explorers believed the frozen continent was little more than an endless sheet of ice stretching beyond the horizon. It looked empty, lifeless, frozen forever. But every expedition over the last century has slowly dismantled that illusion. Beneath the snow lies an ancient world preserved with extraordinary precision. Hidden valleys, buried mountain ranges, rivers that vanished millions of years ago, and landscapes so untouched that they may be the closest thing Earth has to traveling back through geological time. One of the greatest surprises came when scientists began combining satellite imagery, seismic studies, and ice-penetrating radar into detailed three-dimensional maps of Antarctica's bedrock. The images were astonishing. Instead of a featureless continent, Antarctica revealed an incredibly diverse landscape. Jagged mountain ranges stretched for hundreds of miles beneath the ice. Deep valleys carved by ancient rivers crossed the continent. Massive basins reached thousands of feet below sea level. Some areas looked remarkably similar to landscapes visible today in North America or Europe, except no human had ever seen them directly. They had remained hidden beneath ice for millions of years. Among these discoveries was an enormous buried landscape in East Antarctica that researchers now believe has remained almost unchanged since before Antarctica became completely frozen. Imagine an entire region escaping erosion because it became sealed beneath ice before rivers, wind, or glaciers could wear it away. It's as though nature pressed a pause button millions of years ago. The valleys remain. The hills remain. Ancient drainage systems remain. Everything has simply waited beneath the ice while Earth's surface continued changing above it. Researchers often compare this to opening a perfectly preserved time capsule. Normally, landscapes evolve continuously. Rain erodes mountains. Rivers deepen valleys. Plants reshape soil. Wind slowly carries sediments away. But Antarctica's thick ice shield protected certain regions from these natural processes. The result is one of the oldest preserved landscapes anywhere on Earth. Some scientists estimate portions may have remained largely unchanged for over 14 million years. To understand how remarkable that is, consider what has happened elsewhere during that same period. Entire mountain ranges have risen. Ice ages have come and gone. Countless species have evolved and disappeared. Human ancestors had not even appeared. Yet beneath Antarctica, some valleys have remained almost exactly as they were. The discovery also solved another mystery. For decades, researchers wondered why parts of East Antarctica appeared unusually stable compared with other regions. The answer lay beneath the ice. The ancient landscape provided a remarkably solid foundation that helped preserve sections of the massive ice sheet above it. Meanwhile, other regions with deeper basins or softer sediments behaved very differently, allowing glaciers to move more rapidly toward the ocean. Understanding the hidden bedrock became essential for predicting Antarctica's future. But buried valleys weren't the only surprises. Scientists also discovered evidence of enormous ancient rivers. Long before Antarctica froze, water flowed across the continent much like it does today in temperate climates. These rivers carved winding channels into the landscape, leaving behind geological fingerprints that remain visible beneath the ice. Some channels stretch for hundreds of miles. Others connect ancient lake basins now completely buried beneath glaciers. By studying these fossil river systems, geologists can reconstruct Antarctica's distant climate. Every valley reveals where water once flowed. Every sediment layer records changing environments. Every buried channel helps rebuild a world that vanished tens of millions of years ago. Then came another extraordinary finding. In several locations, researchers identified vast sediment deposits trapped beneath glaciers. These sediments preserve microscopic pollen, spores, and mineral fragments transported by ancient rivers before Antarctica froze. Each grain tells a story. Some originated in forests. Others formed in freshwater lakes. Together, they reveal ecosystems completely unlike modern Antarctica. Imagine collecting a handful of soil beneath 2 miles of ice and discovering evidence that towering trees once grew there. That's exactly what happened. Tiny, fossilized pollen grains became some of the strongest evidence that Antarctica once supported thriving forests. Even today, researchers continue extracting these sediments through carefully planned drilling projects. Every core adds another page to Antarctica's forgotten history. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this research is how little of the hidden continent has actually been explored. Despite enormous advances in technology, vast regions beneath Antarctica remain only partially mapped. Radar coverage continues expanding. Seismic surveys reveal new details every year. Computer models improve constantly. Yet countless valleys, ridges, and geological structures still await discovery. Some areas remain complete mysteries simply because no expedition has yet collected enough data. That uncertainty often fuels dramatic speculation online. People imagine hidden civilizations, ancient cities, secret military facilities. But the real scientific discoveries are already extraordinary. No fictional story could easily compete with the reality of uncovering landscapes that have remained untouched for over 10 million years. Nature itself has created one of Earth's greatest archaeological sites, not filled with buildings, filled with geological history. Each newly mapped feature helps scientists understand continental movement, climate evolution, glacier stability, and even how Earth's surface changes over immense periods of time. Antarctica reminds us that history isn't preserved only in books or ruins. Sometimes it's written into mountains, sometimes into river valleys, sometimes beneath miles of silent ice. And every expedition uncovers another sentence in that story. Perhaps the most humbling realization is this: humanity has explored the moon. We've sent spacecraft beyond the solar system. We've photographed distant galaxies billions of light years away. Yet beneath Antarctica, enormous sections of our own planet remain largely unexplored. There are landscapes no person has ever witnessed directly. Geological formations no one has ever touched. Ancient environments preserved since long before humanity existed. That mystery is what keeps scientists returning year after year, not because they expect fantasy, but because Antarctica continues proving that reality is far more remarkable than fiction. And as remarkable as the buried landscapes are, the greatest mystery may not lie beneath the ice at all. It may lie in Antarctica's future, because the discoveries scientists are making today could determine how coastlines, oceans, and life across the entire planet change over the centuries to come. If there is one lesson Antarctica teaches us above all others, it is humility. For centuries, humanity believed the frozen continent was little more than an empty wilderness at the edge of the world. Early explorers saw endless ice, relentless winds, and temperatures so brutal that survival itself seemed like the greatest achievement. But every generation of scientists has returned with better tools, deeper questions, and a willingness to challenge old assumptions. And every time they have looked closer, Antarctica has answered with another astonishing discovery. Beneath its frozen surface, hidden mountain ranges stretch farther than anyone once imagined. Ancient valleys remain perfectly preserved beneath miles of ice, untouched for millions of years. Hundreds of subglacial lakes quietly exchange water through invisible rivers flowing beneath the continent. Volcanoes sleep beneath glaciers. Strange microorganisms thrive inside rocks, beneath frozen lakes, and within salty underground reservoirs where sunlight has never reached. Antarctica, once considered empty, has become one of the richest scientific frontiers on Earth. Perhaps the greatest surprise is that the biggest mysteries were never the ones imagined by conspiracy theories. For decades, stories of secret civilizations, alien bases, hidden entrances, and mysterious structures have dominated the internet. Every unusual satellite image quickly becomes another viral claim. A strangely shaped mountain becomes a pyramid. A shadow turns into a doorway. A crack in the ice transforms into an underground bunker. Yet when researchers investigate these claims with radar, geology, and direct observation, nature consistently provides explanations that are every bit as extraordinary as the myths. The real Antarctica doesn't need fictional stories. Reality already surpasses imagination. Think about Lake Enigma, an isolated body of water hidden beneath permanent ice where microscopic ecosystems have survived under conditions that should make life impossible. Think about the McMurdo Dry Valleys, a frozen desert so hostile that scientists compare parts of it to Mars itself. Think about Blood Falls, a crimson waterfall flowing from deep beneath a glacier, powered by ancient salt water and bacteria that survive without sunlight or oxygen. Think about Mount Erebus, an active volcano crowned by a permanent lava lake, surrounded by one of the coldest environments on Earth. Every one of these places exists. Every one continues teaching us something new. Perhaps the most remarkable discovery isn't any single glacier, lake, or mountain. It's the realization that Antarctica functions as Earth's memory. Every layer of ice records another chapter of planetary history. Tiny bubbles trapped inside glaciers preserve ancient atmospheres stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Fossilized forests buried beneath sediment reveal that Antarctica was once green and thriving during the age of dinosaurs. Ancient pollen, spores, volcanic ash, and microscopic particles reconstruct climates that disappeared millions of years before humans appeared. The continent has quietly documented Earth's story while civilizations rose and fell elsewhere. Only now are we beginning to read it. Modern technology has transformed our understanding of Antarctica more rapidly than ever before. Satellites measure glaciers from orbit with astonishing precision. Autonomous submarines map hidden cavities beneath floating ice shelves. Ground-penetrating radar reveals mountains no human has ever seen. DNA sequencing identifies entirely new microbial communities. Artificial intelligence helps analyze enormous data sets that once required decades to examine. Yet despite these advances, Antarctica stubbornly refuses to surrender all of its secrets. Scientists estimate that significant portions of the bedrock beneath the ice remain only partially mapped. Many subglacial lakes have never been sampled directly. Entire valleys have been detected remotely but never explored. New geological structures continue appearing as radar coverage expands. Every expedition answers old questions while creating entirely new ones. That may be Antarctica's greatest gift to science. It reminds humanity that discovery is never truly finished. Each breakthrough simply reveals another horizon waiting beyond it. The continent has also become one of the most important places on Earth for understanding our future. Researchers closely monitor glaciers like Thwaites and Pine Island because they help regulate global sea levels. Scientists analyze ancient ice cores to better understand how Earth's climate responded to past environmental changes. Oceanographers study hidden currents flowing beneath Antarctic ice shelves to improve climate predictions. Biologists investigate extremophile microorganisms, hoping to unlock advances in medicine, biotechnology, and even space exploration. What happens in Antarctica rarely stays in Antarctica. Its glaciers influence coastlines across the world. Its oceans help regulate global climate. Its frozen archives preserve Earth's environmental history. Its ecosystems challenge our understanding of biology. Its landscapes reshape geology. Few places on Earth affect humanity so profoundly while remaining so isolated. Perhaps that isolation explains why Antarctica continues capturing the imagination. It is one of the last places where genuine exploration still exists. Not because maps are completely blank, but because every answer requires patience, cooperation, and years of scientific effort. No shortcuts, no instant discoveries, just careful observation. That spirit of exploration has united nations for decades. Despite political disagreements elsewhere, researchers from around the world continue working together through the Antarctic Treaty System, sharing data, conducting joint expeditions, and protecting one of Earth's most fragile environments for future generations. In many ways, Antarctica represents humanity at its best, not competing for conquest, but cooperating in pursuit of knowledge. And perhaps that is the continent's greatest mystery of all. Not hidden civilizations, not secret bases, not impossible technologies, but the simple realization that our own planet remains far more mysterious than we once believed. There are still mountains no one has climbed because they lie beneath 2 miles of ice. There are lakes untouched for millions of years. There are microorganisms unlike anything found elsewhere on Earth. There are geological stories still waiting beneath frozen rock. There are discoveries that future generations have yet to make. As satellites continue scanning the continent, as robots venture farther beneath the glaciers, as drilling projects reach deeper into the ice, and as new technologies reveal details once thought impossible to observe, Antarctica will continue surprising us, because the greatest frontier remaining on Earth isn't always found across distant galaxies. Sometimes, it's hidden beneath our own feet. So the next time you see Antarctica on a map, don't think of it as an empty white continent at the bottom of the world. Think of it as Earth's greatest vault, a place where the past, the present, and perhaps even the future remain frozen together beneath miles of ancient ice. Have you ever wondered why the coldest place on Earth continues to attract some of the world's greatest scientific expeditions, while at the same time becoming the center of countless conspiracy theories? Beneath nearly 3 miles of ancient ice lies a continent that has preserved secrets for millions of years. Hidden mountain ranges, rivers trapped beneath frozen deserts, mysterious sounds echoing through the ice, creatures surviving where life should be impossible, and discoveries so extraordinary that they often sound like science fiction. Every year, Antarctica reveals another piece of its forgotten history.